I want to start off by asking you a question, and the question that I have for you is this. Is there something that you've been wanting to start, that you've been meaning to start, but somehow, some way you've been talking yourself out of it? And I don't know what that thing is for you. Maybe you've been wanting to start a business. Maybe you've been wanting to start writing a book. Maybe you've been wanting to take that leap and start getting another degree, or actually starting by actually enrolling and enrolling through the process to start getting an actual college degree. Maybe you've wanted to start this journey of becoming debt free. Maybe you wanted to start this journey of finally losing this weight that you have once and once for all. Maybe you wanted to start the journey of becoming a better mother, becoming a better father, becoming a better husband. What is that thing that you've been wanting to start, that you've been meaning to start? And you know that there's been a knock on your heart that's been telling you, just do it. Come on, do it. Come on, go after your goals and your dreams. Come on, so start the business. Come on, just go after this thing. You can do it. And yet and still, there's something that's been tugging on the inside that's just kept you from starting. And so maybe you've found a way to start making up fancy excuses. Maybe you found a way to start convincing yourself why this isn't the perfect timing. You've told yourself that I don't have the resources. You've told yourself that maybe I should get started 6 months from now or next year. You've told yourself that I've got to get a little more experience. You've told yourself that I've got to wait, that I've got to be operating at the same level as somebody else. You've told yourself, you've convinced yourself somehow, some way that this is not the time to start. And so I want to remind you of something that Zig Ziglar said. Zig Ziglar is a legendary motivational speaker who has since passed away. And Zig Ziglar is known for his energy, his passion, and his conviction, and also his charming sense of humor. And one of the things that Zig Ziglar said, and I'm going to go ahead and paraphrase it for you, but this is essential. If you're a note taker, I want you to write this down. Here's what he said. He said, you don't have to be great in order to get started. But in order to become great, you will have to get started. I'm going to repeat that to you one more time. I'm going to paraphrase this for you. You don't have to be great in order to get started. However, in order for you to become great, you will have to get started. And so many of us, we have a desire to become great in our relationships. We have a desire to become great in our business. We have a desire to become great in our careers. But here's what I know, that it's impossible to become great if you don't first precede that by getting started. And so many of us have been wanting to start, but we've talked ourselves out of it. Many of us have been wanting to start, but we've been procrastinating and putting it off. Many of us have wanted to start, but somehow, some way, we've convinced ourselves that now is not the time. So the question is, why is it? Why is it that so many of us fail to get started? Why is it that so many people have been talking about the same goal, the same dream for the past 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, maybe even a decade? Why is it that most people, unfortunately, will rather talk about their goals and their dreams rather than actually starting in the process? And so I gave it a little thought. And if you're a note taker, I want you to write this down. If you're not a place where you can take notes, I just need you to get this. And so I believe personally that one of the reasons why a lot of times why people don't get started is because they're waiting on the perfect timing. And so they've convinced themselves that, you know what, now is not the right time. If I could just hold out and if I can start in another 6 months, now is not the perfect time. I've just got to wait so that the kids reach a certain age. Now is not the perfect time. I've got to wait till I'm making a certain amount of money. Now is not the right time. I've got to wait until I have a certain amount of money in my bank account. Now is not the right amount of time. I have to actually wait until I have the right platform. But here's what I want you to understand. And here's what I need you to understand is understand this, that there's no such thing as perfect timing. Yes, there are opportunities that maybe perhaps are a little better than others, but there is no such thing as perfect timing. There will always be something that is going to come up once you decide to act. There will always be something that if you're looking for an excuse, there will always be something that you can actually use to be able to come up with an excuse on why you don't move forward. And so because there's no such thing as perfect timing, and because of the fact that you don't want to put yourself in this repeating pattern of just talking about this thing that you've been wanting to do, that you've been meaning to do, what it means is that now is the time to act. Now is the time to get started. And so here's what I know. That many of us, that we've developed a habit of finding the one reason, the one thing why it's not the right time to get started. And so we've gone through this process and we do it every single time. It's time for us to act. It's time for us to move. And what we begin to do is we search and we look to identify the one reason why we shouldn't start. Well, I don't have all the money yet, and so maybe I shouldn't start. Or, you know what? I'm too old, and so maybe I shouldn't start. Or I'm too young, or maybe I shouldn't start. And I don't have enough experience, so maybe I shouldn't start. I don't have enough money in my bank account, so I shouldn't start. I don't have anybody to help me out, so maybe I shouldn't start. And so if you're a note taker, I want you to write this down. Whatever you are looking for, you will find it. I'm going to repeat that for you one more time. Whatever it is that you're looking for right now, you'll find it. And so if you're looking for an excuse as to why to not get started, if you're looking for an excuse why you shouldn't start waking up tomorrow and going to the gym, if you're looking for an excuse on why you shouldn't write that book, if you're looking for an excuse on why you shouldn't get the coaching and get the mentoring and attend the seminar and attend the workshop and purchase the book, if you're looking for an excuse on why you shouldn't start designating, creating a plan for you to get out of debt, if you're looking for an excuse as to why you should continue to put off your goals and your dreams, you will find it. If you're looking for an excuse as to why you shouldn't walk away from the job in which you know that you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, if you're looking for an excuse as to why there's no opportunities out there, as to why the economy's not on your side, trust and believe whatever it is that you are looking for, you will find it. And that includes an excuse. And so, unfortunately, most people fail to get started because they've bought into this mindset that they've got to wait for the perfect opportunity, and they've got to wait for the perfect timing. And unfortunately, that perfect timing never comes. And so if you met them 5 years ago, you will hear them talking about the book that they wanted to write. You will hear them talking about the business that they wanted to start. You will hear them talking about the degree they wanted to go after. You'll hear them talking about how they wanted to become financially independent. You'll hear them talking about how they wanted to pursue their goals and their dreams. And now fast forward, it's 5 years later. And when you ask them, how's the book? Did you publish the book? You say, well, how's the business? Did you start the business? You say, well, listen, did you get the degree you were talking about? Well, listen, did you actually make the career change you were talking about? And what you'll find is 5 years have gone by and they're still telling you, no, I'm waiting on the right timing. No, I'm just waiting so I could get a little more experience. I'm just waiting so I could save a little more money. I'm just waiting so that the kids can get a certain age. I'm just waiting so that I can be in a better position where I don't have as many responsibilities and I can take this risk. And they wait and they wait and they wait and they wait and they never get started. And because they never get started, they will never ever be able to experience greatness. Why? Because here's what Zig Ziglar said. He said that you don't have to be great in order to get started. However, in order to become great at writing that book, in order for you to become great at running your business, in order for you to become great at being a husband or being a wife, in order for you to become great as a businessman or a businesswoman, in order for you to become great and live out out your life's purpose, in order for you to become great, you will have to get started. And so waiting for the perfect timing is no longer an excuse. And so understand this, that there's no such thing as perfect timing. The perfect timing is right now. Get uncomfortable and start right now. Get uncomfortable and start making this thing happen. Get uncomfortable and start writing the book. Get uncomfortable and go to the gym. Get uncomfortable and fill out the application. Get uncomfortable and find a way. Get uncomfortable and make it happen, because now is your perfect timing. Tomorrow is not promised. The only time that you have is the present. And this is the time right now to start. This is the time that you make your claim. This is the time that you position yourself to become great, because Zig Ziglar said this, that you don't have to be great in order to get started. However, in order for you to become great, you will have to get started. And so I started thinking, what's another reason, Andy, why people don't get started? And so what I realized, one of the other reasons why some people don't get started is because they begin to compare. And so without even realizing what's happening is they're comparing themselves to other people. They're comparing themselves to somebody else who maybe has a different gift or a different talent than they do. They're comparing themselves with somebody who has more resources. They're comparing themselves to somebody else. And so they're saying to themselves that I'm not old enough, or I'm too old, or I'm too young, or I don't have the experience. I don't have the right amount of money in my bank account. I don't have the right platform, or I don't have what it takes. I don't have the right amount of support. And so what they're doing is they're comparing and they're comparing and they're comparing. And what they're doing is they're building a case in order for them not to get started, without even realizing they're building a case. And so here's what I need you to understand. And this is very important that you get this, because the average person doesn't even realize that they're doing this. And so I want you to write this down, and then I'm going to explain it to you. And so here's what I need you to do. I need you to stop comparing your backstage with other people's front stage. What, Andy? Wait, what does that mean, Andy? Hold on. First of all, say it again. I'm going to say it again for you. Stop comparing your backstage with other people's front stage. And so you say, Andy, well, what do you mean by that? Well, see, here's the thing. I dibbled and dabbled just a little bit in high school and also in college, and actually participating in shows. And so sometimes when we're in a show, well, what you would find is that when you would stand in front of the stage, you would see these beautiful bright lights. When you stood in front of the stage, you would see an actual beautiful set. And so they would have these amazing murals. Somebody painted the set, or somebody spray painted the set. And if you stood in front of the stage, you would see the nice furniture. If you stood in front of the stage, whenever someone's getting prepared to perform for actual concert, you will notice the lighting is just perfect. You'll notice that they position things so that you can see the artist. You'll notice that they do sound checks to make sure that you can hear everything. But here's what you don't understand. If you ever have an opportunity to then walk behind the stage and go back behind the stage, you will often find that backstage, the lighting is very poor. You will often find that backstage, that people don't appear as organized and prepared as they do as when they step on the stage. You will notice on the backstage, if you've ever been backstage during a fashion show, you'll see people running and trying to put their clothes on, and they're trying to grab their heels, and sometimes they grab the wrong shoes, the wrong outfit, and they have to go out there and they have to fake it. And if you go backstage, you'll notice that all of a sudden now people are back there, they're nervous. If you go backstage, you'll notice that they're not as confident as they appear to be in the front of the stage. So here's what we have a tendency to do. We look at people's front stage, and the front stage is the best that they have to offer. The front stage is their facade. The front stage is their A game. When they're at their front stage, they're showing the best part of themselves. When they're in the front stage, they're presenting to you all the things that they want you to see. When you're at the front stage, in front of their front stage, they are making sure that the only things that you see are the things that they want you to see. And what you're doing is you're looking at their front stage, the very best that they have to present. And what you're doing is you're comparing it to your backstage. You're comparing it to the fear that's in you. You're comparing it to the doubt. You're comparing it to whatever's going on in your bank account. You're comparing it to your level of experience. You're comparing it to your doubt. You're comparing it to the fact that maybe you still don't have it all figured out. You're comparing it to some things that maybe you've had some difficulty doing. And so what happens is, of course, it's always going to appear as if what they're doing is unachievable to you. Why? Because you are looking at your backstage while you're comparing it to their front stage. And oftentimes, if you had an opportunity to go backstage into the people's lives that you're comparing yourselves to, you would realize that they're not as perfect as it appears. You would realize that they too have fear. You would realize that they also are trying to figure it out. You would realize that the front stage only looks like that because there's a lot of chaos going on in the backstage. And so what I'm saying to you is this: if for some reason you haven't gotten started because you have fallen to this pattern of comparing yourself to the best-selling author, comparing yourself to the more seasoned speaker, comparing yourself to the more affluent business person, comparing yourself to the other person that has more degrees, comparing yourself to the person who has more resources, comparing yourself to the person who has a nicer physique, comparing yourself to the person who is younger, comparing yourself to the person who is older. If you continue to compare your backstage with other people's front stage, then what will happen is you will never ever get started, because it will always appear as if you don't have enough. It will always appear as if you are not enough. But what I'm saying to you is this: that everything that you need to get started, you already have. What I'm telling you is this: that even if there's chaos, even if there's uncertainty, even if you are lacking in resources, even if you're not quite sure how things are going to work out, that you can still get started. Why? Because Zig Ziglar said this, that you don't have to be great in order to get started. No, you don't. As a matter of fact, in order to become great, you must first get started. And so when is the time to start? Right now. Right now. This is your time. Stop waiting for the perfect timing and stop comparing yourself to others. And make sure that you're not comparing your backstage, your fears, your doubts, the struggles, the things that you're still trying to figure out with other people's front stage, what they want you to see, the best that they have to offer. Because understand this, that even those who have a beautiful front stage, even they too still have a backstage. They too still have struggles. They too still have doubts. They too are still trying to figure it out. They too are trying to figure out how to take it to the next level. They too started off at one point where they didn't know how things were going to work out, where they didn't know if things were going to work out in their favor. And so don't do that to yourself. Stop the comparing and just get started. Your goal is not to get better or to be better than the guy who's to your right or to your left, or the young lady who's to your right or to your left. No, the goal is to be the best that you can be. And so if you're busy working on your goals and your dreams, if you're busy making things happen, you don't have time to compare. You may take time to look around and say, who's performing well? Who's doing something that I can model? Who's doing something that I can learn from? But it's not for the sake of comparison. No, it's for the sake of getting better. It's for the sake of taking it to the next level. It's for the sake of validation, not for the sake of saying that I don't have enough. I don't have what it takes. I'm too old. I'm too young. I don't have the resources. That's not what it's for. And so stop it. And so finally, the third reason why people fail to get started is because of fear. Yeah. They know that this is a time that it's time to stop being complacent. It's time to go to the next level. It's time to leave this position or leave this place in your life in which you know that you're not living to your full potential, that you know that you are playing it small. They know that it's time to write the book. They know that it's time to start the business. They know that it's time to get the degree. They know that it's time to finally lose the weight and once for all. They know that it's time to get out of debt. They know that it's time to finally step out on faith and go after their goals and their dreams, but yet and still they're afraid. And so I know what that's like. And I don't know if that ever goes away. I know what it's like when you've got this goal, this dream, this thing, it's in you. And you want to go after it. And every part of you wants to act. Every part of you wants to move forward, but there's something in you that's saying, I don't know if this is going to work out. What if I fail? What if things don't work out? What if I run out of money? What if people begin to criticize me? What are they going to say? What are they going to think? What happens? And so the fear begins to kick in. And so what happens is that this fear, it begins to paralyze you. It was also that Zig Ziglar, it was him that also said that fear, this false evidence that appears to be real, this false evidence that you don't have what it takes, this false evidence that you don't have the resources, this false evidence that you're not enough, this false evidence that it's too difficult, this false evidence that you're too old, this false evidence that you're too young, this false evidence that you don't have the right degrees, that false evidence that appears to be real. It will paralyze you. And it'll keep you from starting. And so there becomes a time where you've got to declare in yourself that now is the time to start. And you've got to listen to the words of Joyce Meyer when she says that you've got to do it afraid. And so, yes, even if you are afraid, even if right now you're at that point where there's fear and you're saying, this is a stretch. Wait a second, Andy, this is a stretch. I've never done this before. This is a stretch. I don't even know how I'm going to come up with the money. This is a stretch. I don't know who's going to support me. This is a stretch. There's not many people my age doing this. This is a stretch. I don't know if I've got what it takes. This is a stretch. I've never done anything like this before. This is a stretch. What if I fail? What if things don't work out? I'm fearful. What I'm saying to you is you've got to remember that what Joyce Meyer said, that you've got to do it afraid. You've got to feel the fear and do it anyway. You've got to dig deep and find that courage. That's why Ambrose Redmoon said that courage is not the absence of fear. No, courage is the judgment that the thing that you want to write this book, the thing that you want to start the business, the thing that you want to get the degree, the thing that you want to lose the weight, the thing that you want to take your life to the next level, the thing that you want to pursue your goals and your dreams, the thing that you want is greater than the fear. And so, this is the time right now. This is your time to start. And so, Les Brown would tell you that there's greatness within you. And I believe that. But I also understand that there is great wisdom in what Zig Ziglar said. He said, you don't have to be great in order to get started. You don't. Trust me, those that are great, if you saw them at the beginning, you would realize that they weren't that great when they started. The greats, I'm talking about the greats, the Michael Jordans of the world. At the very beginning, he wasn't that great. Ask his high school coach that cut him from the team. The greats, the ones that you see who have gotten 8 gold medals, like a Michael Phelps, the greatest swimmer of all time. You'll find out that at the very beginning, he wasn't that great. As a matter of fact, his family had to coerce him to get in the pool. The greats, the Oprah Winfreys of the world that are making an impact with their voice. You'll find out at the very beginning, there was some timidness. At the very beginning, she was told that you don't fit the profile. The greats, those who made significant impact, you will find out that at the very beginning, they weren't that great. And so that's why Zig Ziglar said that you don't have to be great in order to get started. However, in order for you to become great at this thing that you've been called to do, in order for you to become great at this thing that you've been putting off, in order for you to become great and move towards your purpose and the calling and the thing that you've been called to do, in order to become great, you must first get started. And so when do you start? You start right now. This has been Andy Henriquez reminding you to always show up for your life. Because if you don't, ladies and gentlemen, no one else will.